Send bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? For the land of the free and the home of the
Good afternoon. I'm Teresita McNabb. I'm the Vice President of Clinical Services. I'm the Vice President of Clinical Services here at Terrebonne General Medical Center. Thank you all for joining us today as we celebrate National Donate Life Month and honor organ, tissue, and eye donors and their families. Terrebonne General has always played an active role in advocating for organ, tissue, and eye donation, realizing the impact that it has on donor families, transplant recipients, and their families. It is through this dedication that we have taken the initiative to educate our community about the benefits of donation by collaborating with the Louisiana Organ Procurement Agency, or LOPA, and Southern Eye Bank. Now our President and CEO, Phyllis Peoples, would like to acknowledge this special month and say a few words.
First of all, good afternoon. Thank you for everyone coming this afternoon. What a wonderful amount of people that we have here for such an amazing event. All of us are here for LOPA, and all of us know what that stands for, our Louisiana Organ Procurement. I know we'll have Lisa talk a little bit more about that, and we have some wonderful speakers. Terrebonne General's been a part of LOPA for a very, very long time. And it is something that we feel very dedicated to, being the gift of life. In a healthcare organization, we spend an awful lot of time trying to make people get better. We've all dedicated our careers and everything we do to try and heal those people that we know are compromised. Unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. But there are many of us, many people out there today who also can benefit from, whether it's an organ donation, a live donation, simply those things that help us continue in life. And so we're very, very much a support of that. Just to give you a couple of statistics, we have been apart with LOPA since 2008. For those of y'all who can do math, it's a long time. How about that? And across the nation and the United States, 106,000 people are waiting for a transplant. And right now, over 1,900 of those are children. On average, 22 people a day die because there are not enough organs available to help them get transplants. In Louisiana alone, over 2,000 individuals are waiting for a transplant. 12 years ago, Terrebonne General took a major step in our public commitment to this initiative and unveiled our Wall of Heroes. I know we've had COVID the last couple of years and people weren't able to come into the organization, but if you go down the hall, and I'm sure that we'll have some people be able to show you that at the conclusion of our event, we have a wonderful Wall of Heroes, and it is a picture of all of those loved ones, yours, all of ours in our community, who have donated organs and helped sustain lives for those that or so desperately needed them. Terrebonne General employees are led by our amazing leadership team, and many of them are here today. But again, I also want to recognize everyone in this organization. It doesn't take a leader, that's the philosophy, but it takes everybody to have the commitment to move forward. And that commitment comes from everyone, whether you're in the organization or you're somebody who has a family member or it's close and dear to your heart. Right before this particular event, interestingly enough, I was having a meeting with someone, and we were talking about different scenarios, and it just so happened that they have a family member who is going to need an organ donation to sustain their life. So I thought it was very timely that, again, we'd be talking at this particular event. But it's hard. It's very hard for the caregiver, and it's very hard for the family member, and we all understand the patient's concern. So again, I'd like to definitely say thank you to all of you for coming. Thank you to those who have donated their time, their energy, to making it a life-sustaining measure. And most of all, thank you to our patients and families who have given and give up their organs to help sustain others in our community. So on that, I would like to go ahead and, Teresita, how about I just introduce Lisa? Lisa, would you come up? Lisa Leverett West has been with the Louisiana Organ and Procurement Agency, and she's going to tell us all about the donation month. So I'll let you donate Life Month, Lisa. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Lisa Leverett West, and I am LOPA's donation liaison with Terrebonne General. I want to thank you all for showing up today and coming and taking the time out of your lives to be here. I want to thank Terrebonne General Health Systems for their unwavering, constant support of organ, tissue, and eye donation. And not only do they excel and exceed what they are quote-unquote required to do, what they are mandated to do by CMS and the Joint Commission, but they go above and beyond that with their constant community support with things like today's event, which things like the Wall of Heroes. Today's event and the Wall of Heroes is not something that the hospital is required to do. It's a passion that they've chose to take on and have remained with for many, many years, and we are very appreciative of that. So April is National Donate Life Month. It was established by Donate Life America and their partners, which we are a part of, to help raise awareness and encourage folks to register to be donors. This year's theme is the bee. The theme was inspired by the vital role that bees play in sustaining life. Bees are a small but very powerful life force, working together with dedication, collaboration, and a strong sense of community. We ask you to be a part of this interconnected, life-sustaining community by registering as an eye, organ, and tissue donor, if you've not already done so. If you've made that decision, please share that with your family. And if you've not made that decision, we ask that you consider doing so. And myself is going to be here later after the event, along with Lana Stevens, our community educator. We have a table in the back with some information on it. So please feel free to grab one of us and reach out and go take a look at what's on the table today. And again, thank you all for being here, and thank you, Terrebonne General, and your leadership in having this event today. And I want to just give a special shout out to Marketing and Planning and Tracy Adams and her crew for kind of putting this all together and lining up this wonderful agenda that we have for you this evening.
So I'm Joy Fergola. I work with Southern Eye Bank, and we have actually this year, we are celebrating our 75th anniversary. So we have been serving South Louisiana and communities like yours for 75 years in terms of sharing the gift of sight. So our mission is to recover ocular eye tissue and distribute it to surgeons so that people who are losing their sight because of a corneal issue now have an opportunity to see again. Last year, from your hospital here at this community, there were 11 donors who gave sight to actually 11 people and supplied tissue for research for an additional 6 individuals. So from a small community, you have a huge impact, because that impact is like a drop of water or a stone, how it ripples out. So people who could no longer see now can actually have a life that was totally different when they get this transplant. It doesn't happen without you. without the hospitals, without LOPA, without all of our partners, and without the community that is so generous and so gracious that they're able to say yes to donation even in the midst of their grief. So we want to say a very heartfelt thank you to all of you. And there is nothing more to add to that other than thank you.
Next, we'd like to welcome Marion Duplantis to the podium. She's going to talk to us about her experience as the mother of a donor and the mother of a recipient. Miss Marion.
Thank you so much for having. Can you hear me? Okay. A few years ago, my daughter, our daughter had diabetes. She's had diabetes since she was young, and one of our sons donated one of his kidneys. Now, come along a few more years later, our son Daryl had an aneurysm, and he died instantly. And we were able to. He was a donor at the time, so we got to meet all of the people who received his organs. I wrote to LOPA, and they sent the letter to the ones who received them to see if they wanted to respond, and they all did. So we have met everybody who got our son's donation. We can show these to you later, but this is Tyrone. This is the day we got to meet him. My 3 granddaughters were all expecting, and my son didn't get to see his first grandchildren, but Tyrone's daughter was expecting at the same time, so he got to see his. But he treats our grandchildren just like his. My children call him Parone. And we got to go to the Olympics in Houston a few years ago, and Tyrone he played basketball. Our son was a basketball player. So these are all pictures of when we met him, the day we met him. Hold those for me, please. The husband plays Santa Claus every year, and I told him we were going to meet Tyrone, but he didn't expect to meet him that day, and he came home, and this is a cute picture of them meeting together. But anyway, I'll let anybody who wants to see them after. I don't want to bore you with all of that. And then one of the men that got his kidney, he and his wife donated a tree for us for our yard, an orange tree, with 3 different oranges on it to represent the 3 people that got Daryl's organs. So anyway, you can look at these if you want to after. I'd like to tell all of you here, if you haven't had a chance to meet the person who you received the organ from, or back and forth, either one, reach out to them and try to meet them, because it's the best thing you could ever do. Okay? I'm so glad that we were able to do that. So thank you.
Next, I'd like to welcome Miss Emily Sanchez to the podium, as she would like to share her experience as an organ recipient.
Hi everyone, my name is Emily Sanchez. I'm 27 years old, and I actually just started working here as a Terrebonne General. Working here at Terrebonne General as a pre-registration specialist in patient responsibility services. I received a heart transplant on January 22nd of 2014 when I was 19 years old. When I was 3 years old, I was diagnosed with a virus called Kawasaki's disease, which is a disease that causes swelling in children in the walls of blood vessels that carry blood throughout the body. It commonly leads to inflammation of the coronary arteries, which supplies oxygen-rich blood to the heart. In turn, this caused me to be later diagnosed at the age of 16 with viral cardiomyopathy. I was listed for a heart transplant in May of 2013, and 9 months later, I received the call that a heart was available for me on the morning of January 22nd, 2014. I do not know much about my donor, except that her nickname was B, and this has driven me to an obsession with anything B related, as well as my favorite saying, "Be kind," which I use spelling her how her nickname is written. It's BEA. I also began making homemade honeycomb earrings in B's honor, and I was thrilled to know that the Donate Life theme this year was Be a Donor. I try so hard every day to make B proud, and I've been struggling a lot lately with the guilt of someone having to die just so that I could live. I constantly struggle with the thought that I wasn't worthy enough for this gift. I'm in the process of writing a letter to send to her family, and I'm grateful that B's family found it in their heart to help others at the worst time in their lives. If that's not love, then I don't know what is. I have been looking into getting a bear with the sound of our heartbeat in it to give to her family. My goal is to just live every day like it's my last and to honor the gift that B has given to me. I get to grow old with the people I love most in this world thanks to her and her family. So to anyone who might be on the fence about becoming a donor, please consider it. Please make your wishes known to your family. Please research all the wonderful things that organ donation does and the hope it gives to people like us. Thank you, B, for this blessing that you have given me. You are forever on my mind. And thank you all for being here from the bottom of my borrowed heart.
And next, we'd like to welcome Donna Ward to the podium as she would like to share her experience as a living donor.
Girl, I gotta hug some partners.
That's hard to follow. My story here is a little bit different. You don't normally have a donor that's standing in front of you talking about their path and their journey with living donation, which is exactly what I am. I'm a living donor. In 2018, my son was diagnosed with renal failure. It was not something he had dealt with his whole life. He was not a diabetic. He was a healthy young man. But it was one of those situations that God placed on him. 6 months after his diagnosis, while he was receiving dialysis and treatment, hoping that he would regain his kidney function, he was finally diagnosed as chronic and placed on the transplant list. That was when I called to see if I could donate a kidney to him. By God's grace and his miracles, we were almost a perfect match. And by the end of that year, in December of 2019, I was able to give him one of my kidneys. We just reached our 2-year mark in our journey. I have been released from the transplant organization. Both of the kidneys that we now have are working perfectly normally. Matthew actually just had his most recent lab work done, and his doctor said if I didn't know you had a transplanted kidney, I would think you were a normal 27-year-old. If you have ever thought of being an organ donor, whether it's getting that little heart on your driver's license, or if you know someone who needs an organ transplant, think about it. If you're a healthy adult, you may be just the person that they need. You can donate a kidney. You can donate part of your liver. You can even donate your blood, your bone marrow, for someone who has leukemia. There are so many ways to help people that are on the transplant lists. So it's my hope and prayer for all of you here today that you will take that into consideration, whatever is placed on your heart, whatever you can do to help, so that people like Emily one day will get the organ that they need. Thank you.
We're going to raise the Donate Life flag here in a minute, and as we do that, we would like you to contemplate the following. As we raise the Donate Life flag in honor of organ donation, we wonder, what exactly does that flag represent?
To the common passerby, it's a reminder that life isn't everlasting and that we, most likely all, at some point, be faced with a decision of whether to change lives through organ, tissue, and eye donation.
To the hospital staff member, the flag is a symbol that they can take pride in, knowing their institution supports the life-saving work of donation and transplantation in philosophy, policy, and action.
To the nurse, whose feet are tired after spending long 12-hour shifts taking care of a donor, this flag is a thank you. Thank you for your compassion, for your patient's grieving family, and the several lives your patient will hopefully change through organ and tissue donation.
To the donor family, this flag is a representation of the many ways their loved ones continue to live on in this world, not only in the hearts and minds of those who personally knew them, but in the quiet gratitude of complete strangers touched by their generous gift of life.
And finally, to recipients and to those that continue to wait on the transplant list, this flag is a beacon of hope. A reminder there are people out there willing to say yes to organ, tissue, and eye donation and capable of reaching through their grief to help someone else in need.
Today, you heard firsthand stories about the importance of donation. If you are not an organ donor, we encourage you to add your name to the donor registry. It is also imperative that you speak to your family about your decision to be a donor and make sure that they understand why the gift of life is so important to you. We will conclude our ceremony with a special butterfly release and invite family members of donors to take a butterfly and release it in their honor or in a memory of a special loved one or friend. After the butterfly release, we'd like to continue the celebration. Please enjoy some refreshments and then take a moment to visit our donor wall of heroes to view your loved ones. Thank you for sharing Terrebonne General's passion for the importance of giving the gift of life and reflecting with us this afternoon.
If you are a hospital caregiver and would like to come release a butterfly,